The bulldozer didn't slow down. It crushed the wooden counter first, then the glass display case. Then the small blue sign that read, "Annual repairs since 1998. Kim Min-jun didn't he shout? He didn't run. He just stood there in his faded work jacket, holding the old metal toolbox his father once used. Behind the police tape, people whispered illegal structure, no permit. He knew this would happen. The city officer held up a folded document, unauthorized roadside commercial operation. Immediate demolition order. Min-jun blinked. Because he had a permit. He had always had a permit. And someone in that crowd knew it, but no one said a word. So the real question wasn't why the shop was demolished, but why was it approved for demolition, if the permit still existed? For 26 years, that small roadside shop stood at the edge of Hanyul Market. It wasn't fancy, just a steel roof, a wooden counter, and some plastic chairs. Min-jun repaired phones, radios, small fans, broken kettles, anything people couldn't afford to replace. He charged less than everyone else, and sometimes nothing at all. He inherited the space from his father, Kim De-hyun, who received official roadside permission in 1998 when the district encouraged small street enterprises after an economic crisis. That permit had a municipal stamp. Min-jun kept it laminated, always. So when the officer said, "There is no valid registration in the system," something felt deeply wrong. Not expired, not revoked, just gone. If the permit wasn't expired, who removed it from the system? This demolition wasn't random. 3 days earlier, Min-jun had received a notice, Urban Development Expansion Project. The land along the roadside was scheduled for redesign. New pavement, new storefronts, new commercial zoning, but he wasn't worried. His permit was a special permanent use category meant to protect small-scale livelihoods. He even went to the city district office to confirm. The clerk, a young woman named Seo Yeon, typed in his father's registration number. She frowned. "There's nothing here. That's impossible," Min-jun replied calmly. She checked again. Still nothing. It says this area was cleared for redevelopment 6 months ago. 6 months ago. There was no notice, no warning, no hearing, and then he noticed something else. Across the street, construction banners were already up displaying a developer's name, J&N Urban Holdings. Standing near the banner that day, watching the scene, was Councilman Park. Why did a redevelopment approval happen before residents were even notified? The demolition video went viral, not because it was dramatic, but because Min-jun didn't resist. He bowed politely when the officers finished. He even thanked them. His silence was confusing. Online, the comments were brutal. Illegal vendors block progress. Street clutter has to go. He probably bribed someone before. Min-jun said nothing. Instead, he went home and opened his father's old metal file box. Inside were copies. Not just the permit, but renewal confirmations, fee receipts, and land usage acknowledgments, all stamped every 5 years. The last renewal stamp, just 4 years ago. Official, valid, and signed, and the signature at the bottom. It was Councilman Park's former administrative seal. Min-jun stared at it for a long time. Why would the same office that renewed the permit later erase it? He returned to the district office. This time, he didn't argue. He simply requested access to the archives, the old microfilm registry, the pre-digital entries. The clerk, Seo Yeon, hesitated. That requires supervisor approval. "Then I'll wait," he said. He waited for 6 hours. When she returned, her voice was low. "I shouldn't be telling you this, but several roadside registrations were batch removed during the redevelopment zoning update. Batch removed. Yes, marked as voluntary closure. Min-jun never signed a closure form. He never consented. He never applied to relocate. Someone had filed it on his behalf. So, who submitted the fraudulent document? They found the scanned closure form filed digitally 6 months earlier under his business ID. The signature read Kim Min-jun, but the handwriting was completely wrong. And below it, the approving authority was the Development Oversight Division. The supervisor listed Park Ji-hoon, Councilman Park's son. The same Park family behind Jay in Urban Holdings, the firm leading the redevelopment. Min-jun felt it then, not anger, just clarity. How many other vendors had been erased the same way? With Seo Yeon's quiet help, they checked 5 other demolished stalls. All were marked voluntary closure. All were digitally signed. None of the owners remembered signing anything, and every single approval traced back to the same division and the same supervisor, Park Ji-hoon. It wasn't random, it was systematic. Quietly remove old permits, clear the land cheaply, and sell it to developers. No compensation is required if the vendor closed voluntarily. It was efficient, cold, and it all looked perfectly legal on the surface. Min-jun didn't protest on the streets. He filed a formal public disclosure request and attached copies of his original, stamped, and signed permit. A local journalist picked up the story, then another. The headlines began to shift from illegal vendor removed to were small business permits digitally erased. The city had no choice. They opened the archived physical registry, and there it was. Page 247. Kim Dae-hyan, Permanent Roadside Livelihood Permit. Transfer to heir approved. Stamped, irrefutable. An internal investigation began quietly. Supervisor Park Ji-hoon resigned, citing personal reasons. Councilman Park denied any knowledge. But the financial links between the redevelopment firm and the division soon surfaced. 3 other vendors filed official complaints. All demolition orders in the area were temporarily suspended. Min-jun didn't rebuild right away, he waited. 2 months later, the city issued a public correction. His permit was valid. The demolition order was an administrative error. Compensation was approved. He rebuilt the shop. It was smaller, but with stronger steel. And he hung the same blue sign, annual repairs, since 1998. Only this time, on reopening day, people lined up. Not out of pity, but out of respect. This story shows that progress without integrity destroys trust. Power without accountability erases the quiet people who are the backbone of our communities. But records matter. Truth, archived patiently, cannot be deleted forever. Min-jun never shouted. He never protested. He simply opened the records. And the records opened the truth. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share it to support more stories of quiet courage.